So I have a habit that I think permeates everything. And if you stick around to the end, I promise you I'll get to it. But I have a little analogy that I want to use before I start. And it's, a lot of people are probably familiar with this, but cool story. And I think I first read about it in a Malcolm Gladwell book. But New York, I think it was in the 90s. But once upon a time was out of control in terms of murder rate and violent crime. And the way they fixed it was a bit of a surprise, because you would think that to cut down on murder, you'd have to actually patrol the streets and look for murders and stop them. But that's not what they did. Giuliani actually focused on like public urination and graffiti. And at first that doesn't sound like it makes much sense. But he cracked down and they started reclaiming like the subway cars that were covered in graffiti. So one by one, they were washing them, painting them, and reclaiming them. They were going through neighborhoods and getting rid of graffiti. They were cutting down on petty crime, and they had a much larger police presence. And what it did is shifted people's behavior, because there was this feeling that the authority was there, or that people cared about that neighborhood, that you weren't going to get away with things. The murder rate plummeted as a consequence. So now shifting gears a little bit, I started this thing with my kids where on Sunday I try to do a form of church where it's just the things that I've learned in my life that are important to being a good person. I'm just trying to convey it to my kids while I still have time. And last Sunday, I brought up a phrase that's, I'm sure you've heard, but if you implement it as a habit, it makes a big difference. And that's to leave it better than you found it. So with my kids, I'm just talking about the small stuff. I'm talking about, don't walk in the kitchen and walk out and have the kitchen be worse than it started. Don't leave things on the counter. Don't leave an extra dish. And then I noticed they get overwhelmed because their room will start to get messy, and then they'll let it progress. And then they'll get to a point where they feel like they have to have a whole day of cleaning, and then they'll put that day off and things just, snowball. And I explained to them, I'm like, if every time you're walking through the room, if you just think about leaving things a little better than you found them, you won't ever have to clean. If you're sitting down at your desk and each time you do, you straighten something up, or if there's a bowl there, you set the dishes aside, and the next time you get up from the desk, you bring them with you, put them in the dishwasher. Like that habit, if it becomes a consistent part of you, will make it so that there's never a cleaning day that's required. But it's one of those things that I feel like touches everything. It's small, and you do it in the small parts of your life, and then it starts to affect the bigger parts of your life. Oftentimes when we're overwhelmed, you can end up in, maybe someone puts you in charge of a committee or something at work, or something you don't want to do. You haven't had a lot of time to plan and think about what your strategy is. And that's just an easy go-to when it's part of your basic philosophy, is just to pick up whatever program you have. And for me, it was in the military. You're getting new positions all the time. So you come into a legacy that spans decades of some program, and it's overwhelming until you just employ that strategy, and you just think, well, how can I leave this a little better than I found it? And so I think that's the one that's like Giuliani cleaning up the subway. It's a small thing you can do. You do it in the small aspects of your life. And I think it starts to permeate your character